Hi, this is Michael Schofield from thecoachbusiness.com. The purpose of these videocasts is to share with you some of the best practice tips I've gleaned from a variety of different sources. Some I've seen myself in action that I've actually used myself, others I've been told about by other people that I've coached, people that I've worked with, people that I've helped train, etc. Today I'm going to talk to you about something that I firmly believe is a really important aspect of being a successful manager. It's something I've used myself in the past, and it's something I've seen other people using to great effect as well. It's not rocket science, it's a fairly simple technique. It doesn't take a great deal of training to implement it or anything like that. It's simply a question of the way that you approach a situation, the way that your mindset is set up. And what I'm talking about is the ability to focus on training people on their strengths, or manage people through positive feedback, as opposed to constantly looking to improve the situation by training people on their weaknesses. To give you an example of that, when I was a sales manager at Yellow Pages, what we used to do as a major part of the role was to go out with the salespeople on their calls and to do some live coaching as such. So what you do essentially is you go and see the customer with the salesperson. You sit in the corner, you'd listen to the call, view how it went, and then after the call you sit in the car before you go to the next one and review what had gone on. And the basic premise of it was, the first question that you tend to ask is, you'd sit there and you'd ask the salesperson, tell me how you think that call went. And what you do is you get the salesperson to give you an overview of what had happened during the call. And the theory behind it is what you're trying to find out is what they think went well and what they think they could improve upon. What invariably happened, though, particularly when you first started doing it with people, is they're very, very good at pointing out all the things that they've done wrong during the course of the call, and how bad they are and what they needed to do differently to improve because they were so rubbish at doing X, Y, Z. What they're very, very poor at doing, as a general rule of thumb, was actually sitting down and saying, well, actually, when I think about that call, what I did well was A, B, C. Very, very difficult for them to actually admit, I do things well. And what we used to do was, we used to ask that question, give me an overview of the call, and you listen to them for 2-3 minutes describing exactly what had happened, etc. And then the next question, which was the really important one, was to ask them, tell me 3 things that went well during the course of that call. Tell me 3 things that you think you did well. And what would happen is, they would find it really, really difficult to identify 3 different things. And more often than not, it was a question of, you give them an opportunity to do it, and then you start to have to lead them down the road to, well, for example, what did you think of your introduction? How well do you think that went? How well do you think you sold yourself to the clients? How comfortable were they with you, with the types of questions that you were asking, for example? And by asking leading questions, you could usually get this salesperson to identify the 3 things that they did best outside that call. Having done that, and you've given them certainly plenty of praise and recognition for what they've done well, etc., the next step in that process was then to say to them, okay, so you did X, Y, Z well, really, really good. I'm really pleased that you recognise that you did that well. Tell me one thing, if you could do that call again, that you would do differently. And what would happen then, as a result of the positive recognition that you've given, because they've feel in a good place, because they've seen, well, yes, when I actually analysed the call, I did a lot of it right. They're far more open to suggestion about what they could actually improve as a result. And what used to happen was, they'd sit there and say, well, yes, I know I did my introduction well, yes, I know I did my questioning well, yes, I know I did the commitment well, but what I didn't do was really test him on his commitment to how much he wanted to change the way his business operates. And as a result of that, they were far more positive about the negatives in the call. And when we went on the next call, they're far more inclined to try something new as a result. And it was a really, really powerful technique for getting people to actually develop themselves. Because if they can start to analyse themselves and their own performance, then what we're talking about is empowerment. And that's then going to lead people to start to think, what exactly do I want to achieve here? What could I do better? How can I improve myself? And because they've got a fairly healthy regard for how well they're doing already, they're far more likely, as I said, to take on board new ideas. This was also evidenced in some work I did recently with a group of senior managers for a housing association, one of the directors that was taking part in the course that we're running for them was telling us a story about his meetings with his senior management team and how they met on a regular basis and how the agenda was virtually always the same. And it starts off, this is the agenda, these are the issues we're going to discuss today, these are the issues we need to try and resolve as a result of us getting together today, etc, etc. And what we always used to finish his meetings on right at the very end was about a 10-minute session on, let's just remind ourselves of what's gone well over the last month or so. And the objective for that particular part of the meeting for him in his mind was he wanted everybody leaving the meeting on a high. He wanted everybody leaving the meeting feeling good about themselves, and he said that it was achieving that. But as a result of the coaching that we'd done, and me telling that story, for example, about the salespeople and how they reacted to focusing on the positives first before they looked at the negatives or areas for improvements, however you want to phrase it, what he decided to do with his meetings was he'd bring that final agenda point about what they'd done well right to the very beginning of the meeting. Fairly simple, and you think, would it have any real impact? He said he was really surprised just how much of a difference moving that one agenda item to the front of the meeting had on the impact of the whole meeting and what happened as a result of it. He said because the whole group, because they spent the first 10-15 minutes talking about good things, talking about things that were going well, talking about things that they were proud of, it meant the whole group as a result of that was far more energised, far more dynamic, far more creative, and far more prepared to engage in the actual meeting itself and approach the issues that they had to deal with from the previous month or whatever it was in a far more positive light as a result. And he said, while I wanted that last item agenda originally to be an opportunity for them to walk out feeling good about themselves, he said what actually happened was they started feeling good about themselves right at the beginning of the meeting. So instead of just having a 10-minute session at the end where people felt good about themselves, they felt good about themselves for the whole hour that they were in the meeting, and they were far stronger in terms of how they would deal with any conflict or any issues that they perceived that they had in their areas. And as a result of that, it was like an hour's worth of positive reinforcement as opposed to 10 minutes. And he said that then came out back into the marketplace as well, and they went back to their areas far stronger, far more committed, and as we said, far more energised and dynamic. And he was absolutely blown away by the difference it made. A simple thing. And what you've got to think to yourselves is, how can I do that myself? There's a well-known story about one of the major directors, major senior managers at Tesco's. His philosophy in life was to walk around the stores that he went to, meeting and greeting the people that work there. And his question always was, tell me, what's gone well for you today? Simple question. But it made people think positive thoughts, and that had a dramatic effect on the well-being of the staff and the subsequent way that they interacted with their clients and customers as well. And it's something fairly simple that you can put into place today with your people as well. You can watch this video podcast, you can finish it right now, and you can go out of your room, meet your people and ask them, what's going well for you today? Tell me something that you do well. Tell me something that you're proud of at the moment. Tell me something that I can share with my other directors about what's going well in your little area of business at the moment. Think about it. What I'd like you to do is put some comments on the end of this blog now and let me know some of the good news stories that you've got. Let's share some best practice with other people that come to this blog. And thank you very much for your time today. There'll be another one along shortly, so keep on coming back to the blog and I hope you find it useful. Have a good day. Bye.